Hi everyone! Welcome to Souped Up Recipes. Today we're making Lan Zhou beef noodle soup. Lanzhou is the city where this is originally comes from, and now it becomes the most popular noodles in all over China. I used to live in Guangzhou. Almost every street has a noodle restaurant like this, and it tastes so good. The noodle is fresh, the broth is fragrant. I can eat this every single day. Now that finally I developed this recipe and it tastes just as good as the restaurant. So let's get started. First, you need 4 pounds of beef bones. It is best to do a mix of all different cuts of bones. This is backbone. I like the way how it is so meaty. And some leg bones. It has a lot of marrow in the middle that will give you a nice rich stock. We're gonna clean it carefully. Make sure you remove all the bone dust. After you clean it, then wash the pot, and we are going to soak the bones with cold water. The bones are for making the broth. I also have a piece of beef here. I'm not sure what cut it is because it's all in Spanish and I can't read it. But basically you can use any cut. You can even use a tough cut like shank. The beef is for making the beef slices to serve on top of the noodles. You just soak that as well. Let this sit in the fridge overnight. This is the next day. Let me show you how it looks like. You see the water becomes red and the meat has less color now. Put the meat in the container and keep soaking it in the fridge. All the red color is what we are trying to get rid of. If you don't have the soaking process, all that blood will affect the taste of your broth. Pour that out and wash the bones again. Put it in a clean pot and fill it up with water. We are going to blanch the bones. Cover this and bring the water to a boil. Once it comes to a boil, you will see a lot of impurities floating on the top. Those are the things that will affect the flavor and the texture of the broth. That is why we're going to get rid of this whole batch of water. You don't need to worry about wasting all the flavors. The good stuff won't come out in the first 10 minutes of boiling. Wash the bones again. Important note here, if you see any bloody parts like that, make sure you squeeze it well and rinse it with water. Also, you want to wash the pot because the pot will have a lot of crab attached to it. Okay, the pot is nice and clean. Let's put the bones back and fill it up with water. You don't need to count exactly how much water you are adding in. Normally, I would just fill it up all the way to this level. It is about probably 4 liters. Water evaporates anyway, so you might need to add more during the simmering. Cover it and bring this to a boil. There still is something floating on the top. Those are oil and some small particles. We will deal with that at the end. I am moving the pot from a big stove to a smaller stove, trying to get the lowest flame possible. Simmer this for at least 3 hours. If you want to do it overnight, you can, but you want to put the lid slightly open like this. You don't want it to be fully covered. This is 3 hours later, and I'm going to add the beef. The reason I didn't add the beef in the beginning is because after 3 hours simmering, the broth is pretty rich now, and if you cook the beef in the broth, it will taste better. Keep simmering this for another 4 hours. Then take out the beef. Cool it down in the fridge so it will be easier to slice it. Now you can check out the broth. Normally, there will be some oil floating on the top. You can take that out. The tool I'm using is called oil strainer. It is like a super fine sieve and it is great for separating the oil from the water. The broth is very rich now, but for making Lanzhou Ramen, the broth needs some aroma. You want to add the spices 1 hour before serving. In this way, you can get the maximum fragrance out of it. I will add 2 medium-sized onions, cut them in half. You just throw that in. Then 4 slices of ginger, 1 piece of cinnamon, 4 pieces of star anise, 1.5 teaspoon of Sichuan peppercorn, 1.5 teaspoon of black peppercorn, 2 teaspoons of cumin seed. I toasted in a pan and slightly crushed it to release the aroma. Add that in as well. Give this a stir. We will keep simmering this for another 1 hour. If you have a spice bag, that would be nice, but I don't, so I just dump everything in like that. It will be a bit annoying when you want to use the broth. Take the beef out of the fridge and slice it thinly. To make an authentic Lanzhou beef noodle soup, you have the beef slices, then chili oil. This is homemade. Not that much left, I'll make more soon. You can check the description for the recipe link if you want. Some diced green onion, cilantro, and some noodles. For the traditional Lanzhou beef noodle soup, the noodles are always freshly made in front of you, and it's hand-pulled noodles. But I don't know how to make hand-pulled noodles, so I'll just use these handmade noodles. They also have great texture and extremely fresh. If you want to know how to make these, I have a video. I'll put the link in the description. You can check that out. I have another pot of boiling water here. We'll cook the noodles in this pot. Fresh noodle cooks really fast. It will take about 2 to 4 minutes. If you're not sure, you can take a bite and see if it's ready. Take out the noodles and put it in a serving bowl. Add some salt because we didn't add any salt into the broth. Sprinkle some black pepper to taste. Pour the broth into the bowl. Remember that I didn't use a spice bag. This is how I get rid of those annoying spices. Place some beef slices on the top. Some scallion and cilantro. I like it a lot, so I put a lot of scallion and cilantro. If you like spicy food, you can add some chili oil. There you have it, your authentic Lanzhou beef noodle soup. This is not a complicated recipe, it just takes a long time, but the result you get is incredible. The noodle is extremely fresh, the broth has deep, natural flavor, and the beef is so tender. Seriously, this is my #1 comfort food, and I will never waste a drop of that broth. Sometimes good food doesn't take that much skills. All you need just time and patience. By the way, I want to show you how to save that broth because you spend a lot of time to make it and you don't want to waste it. Usually I will drain it to get rid of any small particles and put it in a container. It will last about 1.5 months in the freezer and it will last 2 days in the fridge. One important note is do not fill the bottles all the way full. Be sure to leave some space like that, or else it will crack when it gets frozen. Anyway, I hope you give this a try soon. If you did, leave me a comment and let me know how it went. As always, you can check the description for the written down recipe, and please give me a thumbs up. If you like Chinese food, please subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any episode. If you want to know more about me or support me, check out my Patreon link. It's right there. And I'll see you next time. Bye! Mr. Pink, do you like the balance? Okay, you really like it. You don't even want to talk to me right now.